Being quarantined in your home really makes you think about the more important things in life. Like bathing. Bathing really isn't that important and it really isn't that much of a necessity. If you think about it, that is. It's like children in Africa dying of thirst and here I am washing the upper back of my body that no one really sees and I could barely reach. Africa, the ceramic used to make the toilet is probably bad for the environment and toilet paper. Cotton. Picking up toilet paper is like picking up cotton and that's slavery thing and we passed that. So my solution is like just shit into your hand. Like straight into your palm and like throw it out the window like the good old European days. Linkin Park, Green Day, All American Rejects, Avril Lavigne. Say that 3 times in the mirror and see what happens. The early 2000s was certainly an interesting time of experimentation. People were trying all sorts of new ideas and practices, such as YouTube and internet fame, using the word raw and most importantly, equal rights. Rock music actually stems deeper into social issues and political factors than what meets the eye. Apart from the pop rock bands of the 2000s, the foundation of rock and roll erupted from soul, blues and other things that I kinda forgot, and most importantly, black people. Yes. Rock was started by black people. As long as rock has existed, there has been a distinct aesthetic attached to the genre, and it has changed throughout the decades. Music is a tool just like fashion used to convey thoughts, beliefs, emotions, and personality of the artist, and when coinciding, they create a powerful force referred to as culture. This video will look at the developments of fashion in rock and roll throughout the years, from its inception to its ugly and tragic end. The genesis of rock and roll style sprouted in the 1950s with pioneers of the genre such as Chuck Berry, Bill Haley, Fats Domino, Elvis, Buddy Holly, Little Richard, and Ike Turner. The best word I could use to describe the aesthetic during this time was sharp. Extremely sharp. Starched suits, slick hair, shiny shoes, loose-fitting slacks, slightly oversized sports jackets, and a pressed white shirt with shiny polished loafers. It seemed to be the rock and roll uniform at that point in time. If I had to describe the 60s in a few words, it would be afros, hippies, Chuck Taylors, and a lot of weed. The consensus was to grow out your hair as long as you could until you could sweep your house, sleep in it, dust cobwebs, and dry your skin in it. The aesthetic was characterized by very slim-fitting clothing, including shirts and tees, bell-bottom jeans, further exaggerating the skinny look, and Chuck Taylors. The hippie aesthetic was of course accompanied with a rougher, more relaxed look and mentality, psychedelic themes littered everywhere on garments, and more unprotected sex. Around this time, some of the pieces implemented into the genre would then become staples of the genre even till the 2000s, such as the Chuck Taylors and miniskirts. The hippie aesthetic borrowed heavily from non-American styles, borrowing from Asian, African, and Native American styles. Garments were typically organic and usually self-made, and predominant footwear were sandals or just barefoot. While entering a new decade does not mean all previous movements and trends were forgotten and left behind in the last decade, it more means an introduction of a new dominant style. The 70s rock and roll consisted mainly of glam fashion, or the creation of disco and disco culture, which means even larger amounts of drugs were consumed during this period.
Cocaine.
The fundamentals of disco attire / glam rock maintains the slim aesthetic of the 60s but introduced fabrics such as velvet and anything shiny, glittery, fringe boots, unicorn skin, you name it, anything shiny, they that's it. However, during the 70s, there was also the introduction of punk rock, and the aesthetic seemingly went against most of the already established norms within rock and roll's dress code. For starters, the aesthetic was not extra, which was somewhat a first. Clothing still slim-fitting, but tattered and torn. The punk genre was honed and given an established identity by designers such as Vivienne Westwood, often regarded as the mother of punk, and Jean-Paul Gaultier of the Antwerp Six. The 80s, however, was associated with everything extra, and I mean everything extra. Leather pants became more of a thing now, extreme distressing occurred, leather jackets, like the whole works. The latter end of the 80s was more known for less color and just plain crazy unorthodox human creations that honestly should be erased from history books and its existence never spoken about, as said information may risk the extinction of the entire human population. Yes, creations like the mullet and the mohawk and studded gloves. Looking back at it, well, not looking back, but through reading and the information that I acquired, it makes sense now because the main thing you attribute the 80s with in American history is the crack epidemic. And you look at crack and you look at the 80s rock style and you say, I see these belonging together. The 80s rock aesthetic is definitely like the awkward second cousin crackhead of the rock genre style. The 1990s was the era of grunge. Grunge took many elements from previous rock and roll aesthetics. They take the Converse from the 60s, the tattered punk look of the 70s, put them together, add even more rips and distressing, throw in a couple flannels and tattered open shirts, and you have the grunge aesthetic. The grunge aesthetic could be categorized as moody, representing a lack of care but at the same time dissatisfaction with what was taking place taking place in the society. Full stop. Musicians such as Kurt Cobain and Green Day and Linkin Park, they fully embodied the grunge aesthetic within music and style. The 90s also birthed the gothic genre and the gothic aesthetic. It's safe to say America was like going through it in the 90s. Not staying too long on the gothic genre, but just imagine death, skulls, darkness, weird bangs, leather, chains, anything depressing, and that's gothic. Alright, moving on. With the 2000s, although it can be said that the rock genre began to lose its steam to other genres of music such as rap, R&B, and pop, it is undeniable that rock's influence can be seen within these genres. From the Chuck Taylors to leather jackets to distressed denim, these staples transcended rock and entered the staple of entertainment, fashion, and just mainstream fashion. Some even borrowed more than others, such as Lil Wayne. If you remember, you remember. Like Lil Wayne featuring Nicki Minaj, Knock Me Out, that was 2000 and whatever. If he was alive, you definitely remember that song. Furthermore, the influence of rock and rap music and the aesthetic would only strengthen in the latter 2010s, and I guess that's where I'll end this video. I just wanted to make something that, even though it's not entirely about fashion, it incorporated more than just the clothes, talking about social events and other art forms that influence fashion, and fashion influenced it. If I said that correct, I think so. But that's about it.